So the film starts with a book. It's the story of a prosperous kingdom where the king and queen, they were very kind-hearted people who had everything but no child, for whom they always prayed. Then, on a beautiful winter night, their heartfelt prayers were finally answered. Their wish was fulfilled. A beautiful princess was born in their house, whom they named Snow White. As Snow White grew up, the queen and king taught her that here, our rule operates. But in reality, this kingdom belongs to those people, those who work for it, and you as well. One day you too will have the responsibility to manage it. However, we are confident that you will carry out this work with complete honesty and gentleness. Everything was going very well, but one day, due to the death of a sick person in the kingdom, and these people were left alone then after some time, a remarkably beautiful woman unexpectedly came to court, where the man present was so captivated by her beauty that he immediately decided to marry her. After she became the queen, her stunning beauty was far more important to her than the kingdom itself and her bond with the king. She also had a truthful mirror that only spoke the truth. This evil queen always asked it, "Mirror, who is the most beautiful in this world?" Whenever the mirror received the queen's query, it greatly delighted her. One day, sorcerers from the kingdom revealed an impending attack. For this war, the king sets out with his army, but the king never returns that day, and thus the reign and tyranny of this evil queen continue to grow. Over the years, Snow White's esteemed position within the palace gradually diminished, reducing her role to that of a mere servant and ultimately leading people to forget her. There was a princess named Snow White, but due to her strictness, evil began to spread in the kingdom, and famine also started. One day, while Snow White was busy cleaning the castle, a boy named Jonathan arrived angry, trying to collect some belongings from there. Snow White tells him, "Stealing is wrong. You can also take this food with the queen's permission." "So I will talk to the queen or the princess to find a solution to these problems." "We should talk," she says. Jonathan laughs and says, "Which princess is this? I think she might not even be alive." Hearing this, Snow White became sad. Snow White told him that the princess is still alive and wants to help her people. Jonathan said that she hasn't done anything yet. Saying this, he went away taking the potatoes. His words stayed in Snow White's mind. She also felt that she should do something for her people. She thinks of talking to the queen, and she tells the evil queen, "You should care for everyone. You should help the people so that their difficulties become easier. I remember Dad taught me all of this. Each year on a special day, we made apple pies together and shared them with people." Hearing this, the evil queen said, "These pests, they are not worthy of such grandeur." In such a short time, they also bring Officer Jonathan captured before the evil queen. The queen sentences him to burn his house as punishment, but Jonathan said, "I don't have a house. Actually, I was a leader of bandits, and before this, he and his associates used to work for the king." Upon hearing this, the queen said, "Then throw him into the dungeon with such clamor." His screams echoed loudly throughout the entire palace. Snow White said, "You cannot do this. Dad always offered small advice to others. Will not rebel." Snow White's words make the evil queen even happier, and she throws Jonathan out of the palace without clothes. Poon makes him stand in the cold. Now the evil queen also speaks very ill of Snow White, and Snow White, feeling sad, keeps on singing a song in which she was also remembering her parents. And she was asking for all the wishes she wanted to fulfill for her people. After this, she comes to Jonathan and imprisons him. The officers had seen her, and she had to flee from here before being caught. On the other side, the evil queen was sitting next to her magic mirror. She asks this question again. She asked the magic mirror, "Who is the most beautiful in the whole world?" The mirror replied, "You are no longer the most beautiful. Now someone else has become the most beautiful in this world, and that is Snow White." Hearing this, she became very angry. She became jealous, and she called the most loyal hitman and ordered him to kill Kashano White and bring her heart to me in this box. Hitman did not want to work because Snow White considered him innocent. But Quay told him, "You don't know what's behind an innocent face. She is treacherous, associating with bandits, and she spreads news of our kingdom to other kingdoms. We believe that Snow White, at that time, she had gone to sell apples in the forest. Letman was following her, but he couldn't kill Snow White. In the end, he ended up telling Snow White. The evil queen has very dangerous and elaborate secret plans regarding him. She vehemently wants to have him killed immediately before his life is endangered. The issue is that he might flee from this kingdom. He also mentions that the queen knows something about your dad as well, but they are hiding. Upon hearing about the hitmen, Snow White is also scared, and she started running into the dense depths of the forest as the roads were full of dangers. After a few minutes, she encounters new creatures. She would encounter animals that were very dangerous. Eventually, she comes upon a bloodthirsty tree that tries to trap her with its branches. Before the towering, menacing tree could potentially inflict any harm upon her, the ground unexpectedly opened up beneath her feet and Snow White gracefully descended into it. It was a completely different world, very beautiful, where the small animals were all kind-hearted and took care of Snow White here. They live in a small house and see that everything in the house was very tidy, and there were small companions here, Terry and Thakyu Snow White. The companions fall asleep beside her, and these animals cover her with a blanket. This is how we now see the 7 dwarfs in this world. They were happily returning home after working. These companions worked inside the diamond mines, extracting diamonds and jewels from there. And they extracted diamonds and jewels. Now, as soon as they returned home, they were astonished, seeing Snow White in their home. Many of them lose their fear and start running here and there, and only a small dwarf remains before he too runs away from here. Snow White cries. Saucy walks purposefully over to her and gently gives her a comprehensive introduction before she knew much more about the other characters and setting of the story. Her assassins are approaching to kill her. She feels that the dwarfs do not want to keep her in their home. Therefore, she starts to leave here. While the dwarfs were very surprised to see a human for the first time, before the dwarfs leave, she thinks that if she leaves here, where will she go? Therefore, she decides to inform everyone about the dwarfs and says, "My name is Snow White. The evil queen wanted to kill me, so I fled into the forest and then reached here. All these dwarfs find it very unpleasant." And now they also introduce themselves to Snow White. One by one, they tell Snow White their names. They also mention that they work in the diamond mines. Seeing them, Snow White tells them, "Today I understood why I was targeted, that the forest is a magical place. Perhaps because of this place, on the other side, we can now see the evil queen through our mirror." The mirror reveals that Snow White is still alive. Just as she opens Hitman's jewelry box here, there was an apple in it. He gets very upset at Hitman's deceit. He looks around strangely, thinking that the one who deceives me will survive. With his soldiers, he had called Hitman here mercilessly. She kills Hitman. Hitman knew and had already accepted his death. But before meeting, he tells the evil queen that if there is even a shred of mercy in her heart, she should let Snow White go. The queen doesn't listen to him, orders the headman to throw him into the gorge, and commands her soldiers to find and bring Snow White from the forest. Yes, Snow White wants to show it along with the draft. Today her morning was quite different from the other mornings, unlike the usual draft. They were arguing and fighting among themselves, making a small draft the target of their teasing. Feeling sad, the poor thing went outside. And Snow White realized this. The good Snow White explained to her, "Look, getting upset won't solve the problems. We should face each issue bravely." She also patiently teaches her various effective techniques to calm down properly, and soon her overall mood begins to improve slightly. When these people wanted to return, everything was broken and scattered. Who would work on all these drafts? Who would work on them? That's why they were fighting. Snow White said that if all these people who view these tasks as burdens come together, they will start enjoying these tasks as well. White also noticed that the anger among all these people isn't actually hatred for each other, they just can't understand each other. So she explains to them how by talking to one another, all the problems can be resolved, and in this way, a big change happens in the lives of these drafts. They sing together, work together, and stay happy. Here, Snow White also shares stories of her childhood when her kingdom was filled with love and her treasure. We both were Sindha. While talking about these things, she remembers that Edmund had told her that the queen had kept some secret about her kingdom. They were starting to think that in the war, the king died, but it was possible that he was alive. So we ask White Dwarf that we can find him in the forest with the help of bandits. They had said that they previously worked for whom. Now it's time for these dwarfs to go to work as well. They also leave and Snow White also leaves. To find the bandit, she was roaming here and there in the forest when suddenly someone pulled her behind a tree. It was Jonathan who saved her. From those soldiers whom Evil Queen had sent to capture her, Snow White tells Jonathan here that the dead Genie King is still alive. Jonathan to her, he says perhaps, and I have also heard some rumors that the king was being kept forcibly captive in the foreign kingdom where he had gone to engage in battle. But where? I don't know in the game right now. These people talk that here, the rest of Jonathan's companions also come, who meet Snow White with great respect. before these people are able to create a more detailed and effective plan to locate the king, a significant number of soldiers arrive at this location. Who had seen Snow White? Jonathan and all his companions without hesitation ask Snow White for the decision to fight the royal soldiers, and they all come forward and ask Snow White to escape from there, but the royal soldiers were many, and these bandits also were few to Snow White. These people also became tense, so a plan came to her mind. She went and released all the royal soldiers' horses. Chaos erupted among the people, and the bandits got a little time to escape. After that, Snow White grazed and rested atop a large hill. This distracted all the soldiers' attention towards Snow White. When the soldiers reached the tall hill and looked there, they saw that Snow White was not present, but there was only a crab. And now Snow White had joined the bandits. These people ran into dense forests and eventually lost their soldiers' pursuit. Here, Jonathan praises Snow White's bravery and tells her that they will always be loyal to the king because during his reign they had every kind of comfort. While people were secretly talking, a soldier also arrived and saw Snow White. He aimed an arrow at Snow White. Before he could even begin to leave, Jonathan saw him and, by swiftly sidestepping Snow White, took the arrow intended for her upon himself. Jonathan's other companions captured that soldier, and Snow White decided that she would take Jonathan to drafts. Because one of them was named Doc, there was a possibility that he could be a doctor, but upon reaching Doc's place, it was revealed that Doc was not a doctor. His name was only Doc. His specialty was only extracting rocks and minerals. Hearing this, Jonathan's companions started getting angry with him. And here, the people began to argue. Snow White stopped their argument and said, "What are you all doing? This is exactly what the evil queen wants. That we people become distant from each other, part ways, and do not believe in anyone other than ourselves. Although that is not the case, when we support each other, then all the work will be done." And upon hearing these things, they desire silence here for quite a while. And then Doc says, "Although I am not a qualified doctor, I will do whatever I can within my abilities to save Jonathan's life." Doc took Jonathan inside his house. After quite a while, when he came out, there was sadness on his face. Everyone was looking at him with questioning glances, but before he could say anything, Jonathan comes back to life from behind. Seeing this, everyone becomes happy, but Jonathan was still quite weak. In their joy, all these people start celebrating. While celebrating and indulging in delicious food, the people of Snowville grow very close to each other, and before they can do anything, they realize that they were standing among many people. Morning was about to come. Jonathan and they will head into the forests as soon as morning arrives so that this secret plan remains hidden. And here, before Jonathan leaves, Snow White tells him to stay safe. "Today I am leaving for 2 days. I won't be able to return within 2 days, but yes, I promise that when I come back, we will go to Soden Kingdom to search for the king." Here, Snow White gives him her chain that was gifted to her by the dwarf. She says, "This will remind you to return back." When he ventured into the forest, he got caught in a trap. Before he could understand anything, the evil queen's soldiers brought him to the palace. Upon arriving here, she questions him. Snow White says that she tried very hard to make her disguise so that he wouldn't recognize Snow White. But in his possession, Snow White's locket revealed all the truth. After pulling the shiny chain, she cunningly deceives young Jonathan into unwittingly eating it and confidently begins creating intricate spells with some highly potent magical potion. And here we discover the reality of the evil queen, that she is actually a witch, a sorceress. After that, she drank the potion, and after drinking the potion, she started to change and transformed into an old witch. This was her true form. She had created her beauty through magic. After that, she takes an apple and recites some spells on the poisonous apple. Normally, she casts a spell on the apple. She performs some magic so that upon eating this apple, Snow White falls into a deep sleep. It was shown here that Jonathan, he was trying to escape from this basement when he got hit and ended up in Spain. Here, through Sween's stumble, we were shown Snow White, from whom all drafts had fled, trembling. She also wanted to set out and go find her dad, but then an unexpectedly old lady immediately arrived here, and poor Snow White couldn't recognize her at all. And this old lady, who was actually a witch, gave Snow White's locket and told her that Jonathan was in great trouble. Seeing her locket, Snow White realized that she should save Jonathan. She was about to leave, but the witch stopped her, gave her an apple, and said to eat it. This way, your energy will remain. By the way, your right was to say that every difficulty can be overcome with love. Listening to the witch's emotional talks about diet, she was swayed and ate the apple. Here, she saw that all the birds and animals of the draft quickly flew to tell the drafts about Snow White being in trouble. As soon as Snow White ate the apple, her eyes turned dark like a shadowed canal. She started feeling dizzy and asked what was in it. Here, this evil witch spoke the same words that the evil queen used to say, and just like that, Snow White realized that it was the evil queen who considered Snow White her enemy. Now Snow White fell into a deep sleep. Dark black clouds covered the entire kingdom, and the evil witch disappeared from here as smoke. Here when Tonward has all the dwarfs and animals, so everyone became sad. Seeing Snow White lying down, they felt that Snow White had died somewhere. These people couldn't do anything anymore, so they placed Snow White in a special place and lovingly adorned it with beautiful flowers. At the palace's table, it was shown that Hitsapan and Jonathan together were breaking down a wall on whose other side there was a waterway leading into the forest. Its man Jonathan receives help and he runs toward the forests where he encounters some animals. From their panic, he realizes that something bad has happened. As soon as he reaches Dwarf's house, he becomes sorrowful upon seeing Snow White dead. Overwhelmed with grief, he sits near Snow White, and on that day, due to Swananthan's action, Stumpite regained consciousness. And amidst all their happiness, a pang passed by. Upon regaining consciousness, he told Jonathan that everything in Hustle is happening because of the evil queen. That Tarasal is a witch. She cunningly made a sinister plan and sent our dad to war, and by strategically sending her own loyal people, she successfully had the king brutally murdered. They were saying that coming into Snow White's hands is a snowflake crystal, which upon seeing it, Snow White decided that now is the time. The time has come for him to handle everything and fight the evil queen to save his kingdom from her. Now he must give that queen to the people of his kingdom, who are deceiving them, who give them love and improve their conditions. As Snow White returns to her kingdom, people seeing her, a ray of hope awakens, and everyone follows Snow White to bring the people of the kingdom to the front of the palace. Seeing Snow White's companions, the evil queen herself descends. In one hand she holds a sword, and in the other she holds a beautiful rose, and she says to these people, "Look, only beauty and power are worthy of the throne." Then she burns the rose with a puff and says, "Now see, only power remains." To claim the throne, she starts provoking Snow White to fight, but instead of fighting, Snow White makes the evil soldiers remind them of their beloved past when they used to be compassionate during their times. All these people used to care for one another, and the lives of all these people were easy. Snow White tells them, "It's not an old tale, but when there was peace in this kingdom, everyone was happy, everyone received justice. I just want to bring it back for this kingdom." The evil now disarms all their soldiers, and she says, "I will support Snow White now." Seeing her strength draining from her hands, she starts attacking Snow White directly. But at the right moment, someone stabs her with an arrow instead of a knife, and she realizes that it was actually a dwarf who saved Snow White's life. Now, all the dwarves also arrive here, who had stood to support Snow White and the people. The queen angrily enters the palace. Where she had her magic mirror, the enchanted mirror was watching everything. The evil queen summons this magical mirror once again. She asks it. The evil queen asks the mirror, "Who is the most beautiful in this world?" The mirror replies that the most beautiful in this world is and will remain Snow White. Her beauty is not superficial, it emanates from the heart. She will rule people's hearts through her justice and compassion. She tells her, "Your beauty is never truly your beauty. It hasn't penetrated inside you. Your superficial beauty can't accomplish anything." She destroys it by killing something. She breaks the magic mirror, causing it to shatter into thousands of pieces, while the evil queen's body begins to rot and turn black as a result. Transforming into darkness, she enters the magical mirror, and the queen remains imprisoned in this mirror forever. And we realize that all the queen's powers were actually because of this magic mirror. Once in the hands of the evil queen, Snow White brought waves of happiness and prosperity to this kingdom, taking control and ensuring that, with this achievement, this beautiful story gracefully ends here.